Imagine this. You're prepping Thanksgiving dinner the night before when one of your stove knobs breaks off. Stores are closed for tonight, but you need a new one by tomorrow to complete your perfect meal. What can you do? You can 3D print a replacement. 3D printing for personal use has grown more and more popular over the last few years. People are using it in every situation from simple household repairs to great creations. I personally have printed close to 50 different objects. Today I'd like to give you an overview of 3D printing, including the components of the 3D printer, the components of the print itself, and the various applications of 3D printing. To understand 3D printing, you must first understand the components of a 3D printer and how they work. While a 3D printer is fairly simple in design, each component is crucial to creating the perfect print. Dictionary.com defines 3D printing as a printing process that involves making three-dimensional objects from digital models by applying many thin layers of quick-drying materials on top of each other. First, we must understand that a 3D printer moves precisely using motors. These motors are specialized to rotate as needed. A 3D printer is a computer numeric control device, also known as CNC, which means that the computer tells the extruder exactly where to move. Next comes the extruder, which contains a cold end and a hot end. According to Taylor Landry, a member of Matter Hackers, the company who creates 3D printer filament, the extruder is one of the most important components in a 3D printer. After the filament or the plastic ink is pushed through the cold end, it enters the hot end, the most important part of the printer, where it is melted. This part governs the maximum melting temperature, which determines what materials you can use. For example, in our stove knob example, you would use a hot end that is able to heat a more durable material, since the stove knob would be around heat. Lastly is our print bed, or where our creation comes together. Depending on the size of the 3D printer, the print bed may range in size from 120 millimeters to 500 millimeters. According to Richard Bagley, a writer for a technology website, Tom's Guide, this means you can print anything from custom salt and pepper shakers to homemade replacements or hard-to-find parts. Now that we understand how a 3D printer works, let's look at the components of a 3D print. Before beginning a print, there are a few parameters you must consider and set to create exactly what you need. First is the shell, or the outer layer of the print. You can vary the thickness of the shell to vary the strength of the object. If you wanted to print a vase, you would use a thin shell. Next would be infill, or the material inside of the shell. Infill supports the top layer of the object by determining its structure and weight. Going back to the vase example, you would not use infill because the top of the vase is open. Last is support material, which is needed with an object that has steep overhangs and intricate detail. Nicholas Zouza Aprusa explained their purpose well when he stated, "Supports will work as scaffolding under these problematic sections and will ensure that each layer has something to be placed upon. After the print is finished, this material is broken off and leaving the desired object." Going back to our original example, a stove knob may need support material on the inside opening depending on its design. Now that we know how a 3D printer works and the components of a printer or a print, let's take a look at the various applications of 3D printing. 3D printing has been used in the professional world for quite some time, but has grown for personal use due to its many applications. Stephen Shan of Autodesk University, a company that creates 3D modeling software, states that the three main categories of 3D printing for home use are art and design, cosplay, and toys and games. I have personally attempted to create an Ant-Man helmet for a friend during Halloween time, and I have printed a sculpture model using my printer. 3D printing can also be used for more serious needs and substantial items. According to Bernard Marr of Forbes, people have used 3D printing to print everything from musical instruments to prosthetic limbs. Overall, 3D printing has changed life as we know it. In conclusion, 3D printing is a growing trend that has changed our lives. Today I've discussed the various components of a 3D printer and the print itself and the many applications of 3D printing. Whether you need an object that has been discontinued, you need it now, or you're like me and just avoid shopping at all costs, a 3D printer may be your answer. If you can dream it, you can print it.